Good afternoon. I am Debbie McKeever, founder and owner of Strong and Healthy Temple, a virtual holistic health and wellness coaching practice servicing clients on a worldwide basis. It's a nice day out today, partly sunny, partly cloudy. There's some rain projected, I think, for later this afternoon. But right now, nature is at work, so I'm going to enjoy it while I can. Today, I wanted to piggyback off of an article that I had written a few weeks ago for Blackwash blog entitled Living in Flow. And in that article, I talk about how oftentimes it's hard to decipher if we should be waiting in patience or if we need to be doing something. And oftentimes the answer is both. And you're probably wondering, well, how can I be waiting and doing at the same time? Well, the thing that you want to do is that while you're waiting in patience, you want to take inspired action. So basically, you're sitting still long enough to hear from the power that comes from within, and you're taking divine and inspired action based on what you hear from a higher power. And it doesn't matter if you're, a yogi, just a spiritual person, a Bible student, or a religious person, whatever you are. If you believe in some kind of a higher power, you have to know that the power comes from within you. People that are students of the Bible, that the Bible mentions that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and that God is within you, and that you have the mind of Christ. And so you have to sit still long enough and go deep within and hear from that higher power so that you know what action to take, instead of trying to force things or manipulate situations, or force the hand of God, or make it happen on your own, or make God conform to your will, or what have you. You just sit still and wait for whatever action that you need to take, if anything, because God can do it, out of thin air, if that's what God so chooses. So anyway, your job is just to have faith and believe, and just let it go from there. I find that when I just relax and let it go, and not worry about how or when, or what, and all these things that we get ourselves caught up in, that it happens naturally, and it happens in a way that's better than what you could have ever imagined. And I know we all have a tendency, I know I used to have this tendency a lot, is that I would write these little scenarios in my mind, like kind of like writing out a movie, like you knew just how you wanted it to happen, or how you thought it was going to happen, and when it didn't happen in that way, then you got disappointed and kind of backed up off of your faith. And a lot of times that's how we miss it, is because we're worrying about the how, the when, and the where, and the what, when we should just be believing in faith, and let God do the work, or the universe, or whatever it is that you believe in, and just sit back and let it happen, and not worry about the how, what, when, or who. Because when it doesn't happen how you expect it to, and you back up off your faith, that's how you miss it, because it didn't come quite the way that you expect. And like I said, I just found that when I relax into it, and just sit still and only take that inspired action, and just believe in faith that not only is it going to happen, but that it's already done, that's when it happens in just the most magnificent way, like something that I could have never imagined. And it always happens like better than you think. You just got to sit back and relax and let it go. And I think about when I was younger, and I talk about jigsaw puzzles in the article. I used to love to do jigsaw puzzles, and if you've ever done jigsaw puzzles, just depending on how big or small they are, they can come in just a few pieces, maybe 25, 50 pieces, or they can come in a lot of pieces, like 100 to 1,000 pieces or whatever. And if you don't put and you can't, with that jigsaw puzzle, you can't force the pieces to fit. You've got to get it just right, because even if you think that you've got it right and you get it together and you look at it and you're like, oh, that looks kind of funny, that's not quite right. It's not going to be right unless the pieces are in the right place. You cannot force the pieces to fit. And it's the same thing in life. You cannot force the pieces of the puzzle to fit together. You've just got to let everything go in like a rhythmic flow. Just let life flow and experience the peace that surpasses all understanding. I was talking about this on Twitter probably a month or so ago, how I'm just at a place in my life where I'm not just reading about or hearing about the peace that surpasses all understanding, but I'm experiencing it. At moments that I should be worried and I should be anxious, I'm not, because I know that God has already worked it out, and I'm just at a peace that is inexplicable. I cannot explain it in words or action or anything. It cannot possibly be expressed or explained. It's just like it is that peace that surpasses all comprehension. That's the peace that I have right now, knowing that God has already worked out everything in my favor. And that's the point that we have to get to, where we just relax in that peace that surpasses the understanding, and not try to force the pieces of the puzzle to fit, because it's just not going to work. I talk about too, and I'm going to post the article in the comments on in this video. I'm gonna post the link to that article that I wrote, so that you can read it in its entirety. One of the things that I talk about in there is relationships, and if you try to force a relationship that's not meant to be, and I thank God that some relationships that I wanted didn't happen. Like, I'm glad that's somebody else's problem. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you think you want something, and you don't really know what's best for you the way that God knows. That inner you, that true you, that divine you, your fleshly you don't know what you need the way that the divine knows, and the way that the Most High power knows what you need. And so a lot of times you think you want something, and you look back and you're glad that it didn't happen. And relationships is just one of those things. It could be a job, or a home or a car, or anything that you thought you wanted. Like, maybe you thought you wanted that car and somebody else got it before you could get it, and it ended up being a lemon. Just like that person that you were in a relationship that you thought you wanted a relationship with, they ended up being a big bust, and you're glad that they busted on somebody else and not you. So and that's why we just have to sit back and be patient and make sure. My grandmother taught me that the answer to every prayer is yes and amen. So you have to be careful what you pray for, because sometimes you can get yourself into bad situations. And also too, the answer to every prayer being yes, you might be thinking, well, the answer to some of my prayers weren't yes. Well, it just wasn't what you needed, and you weren't really like aligned with the divine. Once you get to the place that you are in complete alignment with the Most High, you'll see that the answer to every prayer is yes, because then your prayers are in the right alignment. And like I said, thank God that some of your prayers didn't get answered, because it was stuff, people, places, or things that you didn't even need. And so I was talking about how I was listening to Boyz II Men in the salon, End of the Road, and the passion with which they demonstrated, it was like an example of a man who knew that the relationship was at the end of the road, but he just was refusing to let go of it. He wanted to hold on to that relationship, good or bad, and he was saying, oh, you're just not ready, and all this kind of stuff. And really what he was trying to do is that he was, they were demonstrating in the song, is that he's really just trying to force this relationship, and the relationship probably wasn't even even good for them. And we do that, with jobs and everything else. We hold on to these toxic situations and things that aren't good for us, and we don't want to let go, and we're trying to manipulate situations and make something be good that's not really good, and it's not a good fit. And what we really need to be doing is just letting it flow. And like I said, I'll post the article, the link to the article in its entirety in the comments. So anyway, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share it with your networks. Subscribe to the videos. Hit the bell icon for notifications. Thank you for watching, and as always, make it a wonderful day.